Let's go back to the 1700s where everyone is dressed for the Burning Man festival. However, a predator decides to crash the party. But a strong, independent Pocahontas with sick MMA skills ain't having none of it, and she's going to find where the predator is hiding all the glow sticks in Prey. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, Prey, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who you might know from directing a little thriller called 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I actually thought was a nice little indie thriller there, with the Clover name slapped on it. We meet our protagonist, Naru, who is a strong, independent Comanche woman who don't need no John Smith. She has sick MMA skills, has a dog as a best friend, and she must have seen the 2021 Mortal Kombat film because she creates a weapon of her own in the vein of a scorpion, but instead of using a garden tool, she uses a tomahawk. She's also really good at medicine and constantly trying to convince her older brother that she wants to become a hunter in the village because the patriarchy. Wouldn't you know it though? One of the men go missing who is apparently injured by a lion. So they get a gang of hunters together to go and track him down. This is Naru's time to shine, and she better not fuck it up. However, she does. She gets knocked unconscious as the lion is about to pounce on her. However, she wakes up in a tent, very, very groggy, and is told that her brother carried her all the way back, and then went all the way back out to go hunt the lion without her. Obviously, the lion didn't eat her while she was unconscious because it read the script. Yet again, her brother is victorious, arriving back to the village with the dead lion in tow. And Naru's having none of it! She noticed while in the woods, while they were hunting the lion, that there were some tracks of another predator, a bigger predator than she's ever seen before. So she grabs her tomahawk, gets her dog, and then goes out there to kill the thing. She gets herself into a spot of bother though when she runs into the bear from the Revenant who has a craving for Comanche. But she is however saved by the predator who gets into a bit of a fisticuff with the bear and she witnesses one of the sickest fatalities. It's not long before the other Comanches of the village and some evil white French pelt hunters join Naru on her quest. And then we get some fully sick predator murder time. This predator is a different predator than the one we've seen in previous installments. It seems more primitive, very different from Predator 1 and 2. I put it down to that maybe this is a different race of predator this time around, which in other Predator films we've seen different races on screen before, and this just happens to be one of them. There's also no shoulder cannon, plasma cannon for the Predator this time around, which is cool, kind of makes it a little bit more ground level for the fighting. Either that technology hasn't been invented by them yet, or like I aforementioned, it's a different race. The film looks pretty good, I have to admit. It's directed quite well, looks great on screen. The effects are okay, to say the most part. I mean, there's a couple of shonky, noticeable CGI, especially with the animals here, but it's fine and passable. Although the Predator does look different, it still looks awesome on screen and moves really well, and that's thanks to the actor inside the suit, Dan DeLiegro, who is, looked great. His mannerisms, the way he moved, he was awesome. Better than the bulky linebackers that we got in AVP. There's a few really tense scenes here and there that had me fully engaged. And of course, we get the iconic line, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." Fan service! There's a few setups and payoffs, which is good to see. And we get a different way of how to cloak oneself from the Predator other than mud this time around. And the third act is very reminiscent of the first film. We don't get the Alan Silvestri score that we've come to know from the Predator franchise, but what they used was fine. It was okay. However, the knocking out scene when they're hunting the lion with Naru makes no sense. She's knocked out as the lion's about to pounce on her, but for some reason doesn't kill her. Then she's carried all the way to the village by her brother, and then her brother goes all the way back out to kill the lion, and then she wakes up in the tent. He comes all the way back with the dead lion carrying it, victorious, and all of this happens in about 1 minute of screen time. Like, why it couldn't be that Naru's knocked out and then her brother swooped in last minute to kill the lion, and it all happens at the same time, fucked if I know. And again, why the lion didn't kill her while she was knocked out before her brother got there, that makes no fucking sense. I don't know, maybe before she was knocked unconscious, she called time out. The two main actors here are actually pretty good. I really like the brother character here, played by Dakota Beavers. I believe this is his first feature film, which, well done. And Amber Midthunder as Naru, the lead, the protagonist here, does a really good job. She's great. There is a few femo moments, I will say, but you know, you just go, get on with it, it's fine. And yes, the French pistol that Danny Glover receives at the end of Predator 2 is the same one that Naru obtains in this film. And I hear you wondering, well then how did the Predators get their hand on the pistol again? Well, during the end credits, we get some Comanche illustration animation of the film we just saw, but before the film cuts to black in the credits, we do see an illustration of the Predator ship coming back. And from what I can assume, they come back and slaughter the village, or at least Naru, and get the pistol. Pretty fucking bleak when you think about it. I don't know, maybe it's a metaphor for what the Europeans did to their culture back in the day. Metaphor! With all the criticisms, I did like the film. I thought it was actually quite good. It does take its time developing the characters in the first act. Yeah, and then once it gets into it, it gets into it. And the film went back to basics, thankfully. I think they had to after you look at what they've done with the franchise in recent past. The film is different enough, yet somewhat familiar. Obviously, it's not better than the original. Okay, the first film is perfection. It is a perfect action horror adventure movie. And I have a little nostalgia for the sequel, Predator 2 in 1990, starring Danny Glover. I remember my parents took me to the drive-in to go see it. That's right. Back in 1990, they let a 7-year-old into an R-rated horror film at the drive-in. Because we weren't fucking pussies back then. Plus, too, that film has Gary fucking Busey! But I will say this film is the next best one. And in saying that, I didn't mind the 2010 film Predators. I enjoyed it. It was obviously a love letter to the original film, while also being a bit silly and fun, but this film feels more like a legit movie. So guys, that's my review of Prey, the latest Predator installment. I enjoyed it. Yeah, write down below if you've seen it and what you thought of it, and what your favourite installment of the Predator franchise is. And if you, of course, have made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up, because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies, and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon, because we give it episodes weekly, and we'll see you back here next week for the next review, and until then, stay spooky, kids.